sharing like entrepreneurship like stories, or are we just going to be talking about like
In general.
in general
I
kind
mean,
of thing?
maybe
Yeah.
let's just see where the wind takes us.
Okay.
Because
Like
we've kind
always.
of told our stories, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did tell our story. I don't think we talked about every part of like
Right. They were
where
probably
we've
like very
been.
recapped. Like, have I ever talked about how I had
Yes.
like 3 businesses before this? I don't know.
No, you've never talked about that. You never. I think you might have mentioned that you almost started the balloon company during
Mm-hmm.
COVID, but I don't think you did on our podcast. I think it
Yeah, I
was
don't remember if we've ever talked about it here.
yeah. So hi everyone. Anyway,
Sorry, we're obviously very planned
sorry.
and rehearsed and scripted for
Just
our
planning our
episodes
episode during
as
our
we start
episode.
recording. We actually are very
Uh,
organized and planned out, but this one was, we're going out of order, and I think that's what's throwing me off a little bit.
yeah, same. But also this is something you don't need to plan that much because
Right.
we're talking about entrepreneurship in honor of National Entrepreneurship Day this week on the
Mm-hmm.
25th. We figured it was the perfect time to make a little entrepreneurship
Episode.
episode. Yeah, just talk about I mean, that's kind of what we're discussing. We're just going to talk about like maybe our journey, like little stories from how we got here.
I'm thinking some qualities you need to have to be an entrepreneur to own your own
Yes.
business.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah,
hot
there's going to
topic
be like
lately.
some qualities and skills and determination and discipline. We'll definitely cover all of that because that's all important in entrepreneurship, no matter what business you own. So
Yes.
let's get it.
Let's get into it. And before we do, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Socially Unfiltered Pod. Okay,
You're so
continue.
good about that. You're so good about that. I never remember. I never
We
remember
didn't,
to do that.
wasn't it like the first like 5 episodes? I don't think we did. Well, because
Yes.
we didn't even have the
Mm-hmm.
Instagram set up yet. So now I'm like, we have to.
No.
I mean, at
And
this
if you
point, I'm
haven't
sure if
rated us
you're,
yet,
yes, please
wait,
do.
what? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm sure at this point, anybody who's listening to this does, because I doubt people are finding us through the podcast alone. Like, I feel like
Right.
anybody who listens to this comes from Instagram. So, just a nice little
Yeah.
reminder, but also, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you already do. So,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah,
Anyway,
thanks for following us. No, I do want to hear. I think it would be fun to hear your stories before you became. Well, no, this was after your other businesses that you started were after you became a social media manager, right?
um, no, they all overlapped though. This was the last
Okay.
one. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess technically the first one would be when I was still a personal trainer and I worked at Orange Theory, and I got certified as a fitness nutrition specialist, and I started doing
Mm-hmm.
like meal plans for people. I had to put an end to that because Orange Theory was so I should probably like not say the actual name, but fuck it. Um they didn't want their employees. It was considered like poaching on the members. So they like
Mm-hmm.
didn't want us like promoting like any sort of fitness or nutrition service to them. So I had to put an end to that, but I still technically had the business. I had some clients that weren't from Orange Theory, so I was still able to do that. So I guess technically that was like my first business. Like there was an LLC, there was, a
Yeah.
business account, there was everything. Like I did it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I left Orange Theory, I technically owned my own personal training business. I rented out a space. I had a full roster of clients. That was my full-time job, what I would do every day.
Wow.
Yeah, I like forget about that sometimes because it was so short-lived because I started doing this at the same time. And it got to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I was literally working, going to train people from like 5 a.m. to noon, going home, maybe taking a nap, and then doing social media work from 2 p.m. to like 10 p.m. and then doing it all again the
Mm-hmm.
next day. And I was like, why am I splitting my time and my energy in half when I could just be going all in on one? And at that point, I had been in
Yeah.
fitness for so long that I was like, okay, like I love people, love coaching them. I love the fitness industry and the world of it. I'll never not have a love for it, but I had worked in it for so
Mm-hmm.
long that I was like, okay, it's time to do something new. At the same time that I started that, I also started an Etsy shop making tie dye. And like I think back on that, I'm like, that was so not like random and weird. Like if you knew me at that time, it was something that I did anyway. And it was really
Mm-hmm.
cool. Like my Etsy shop with that, I think it's still there. I just have it set to like not accepting orders. But like by the time I shut that down, I had an order out of all 50 states. Like that was really fucking cool.
Oh my god,
Isn't that
that's
crazy? I'll
crazy.
never forget. Like I
Yeah.
remember getting the Hawaii one. Like I got one from Hawaii and I was like, this is
What year
so
was this? Because I remember tie-dye having a fucking chokehold on everyone.
yes. It was the
Like,
end of 2019, 2020. Like it was still during
oh
COVID.
my god, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure everyone was tie-dyeing during COVID. Like, that was,
Yes.
like, a fun pastime for everyone, and
Right.
people who couldn't, I bet were just, like,
Yes.
buying all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
probably a really good time to get into that.
yeah, and like not to like pat myself on the back, but I was making cool ones. Like I wasn't doing like rainbow colors.
Mhm.
I was doing like neutrals, like tans and browns and blacks and
Yeah.
grays and like they weren't like obnoxious tie dye. They were very neutral, like things that you could just like wear all the time. I actually just
Mhm.
got rid of because we're moving, so I cleaned out my closet the other day and I just got rid of the last one that I had from it still because I was like, I don't wear this. Like it
Aw.
was so old that it was like pilling. Um, so I did that. That one wasn't nearly as I want to say like structured or like I didn't take that one seriously. Like I never got like an LLC for anything. Like I had an Instagram page
Mhm.
for it, but it wasn't anything that I ever put a lot of like business effort into, especially because with
Mhm.
Etsy you don't really have to I don't want to say you don't have to do anything, but like Etsy pushes your listings for you as long as you're good at like the SEO and the keywords. So it wasn't really anything that I ever
Mhm.
like fully advertised. And it was cool because again, like everything overlapped. So like when I had my gym, it was called well, when I had my gym, when I had the space that I rented to train people out of, it was called The Space. Like I literally just named it The Space because for so long I called it The Space because I was like, I don't fucking know
Mhm.
what to name this. I'm jumping in like weeks. I signed the lease before I even quit Orange Theory. So I'm like, I have to come up with names and shit. Like, so I literally named it The Space, and my logo was a little alien guy. And like I would make shirts for that. And like that was another way that I made income from both of those things at the same time. I still
Mhm.
technically had all of this Etsy stuff until like 2 years ago, probably. I finally got rid of everything because I was like, all right, as much as I would love to do this again, just not
There's just
realistic
no
right
time.
now. One day I want to bring it back
Yeah.
though, I think. Or even like, I don't know, if we ever make like merch, it'd be cool to do like
Yeah.
limited edition, like tie-dye versions of it.
Yeah. Let
But
us know
yeah, let
if you
us know if
want Lex
that's
to bring her tie-dye back. We should bring tie-dye back.
I literally have tie-dye sweatpants on right
And
now.
silly
Like
bands.
and silly bands and bedazzled phone cases. And
Yes.
AOL Instant
Oh my
Messenger.
god.
I want to have screen name again. I want to make a buddy profile.
Socially unfiltered at AIM.com. Imagine. If you know, you know. Gen Z is like, what the hell are you talking
I know
about?
they're like, you guys are old as fuck.
Well, actually, I just saw a thing. It was literally on the news how, you know, how there just used to be like millennials and then Gen Z. It was
Mhm.
on the news how they're like, now people are saying zillennials. So it's like
Yes.
1996 to 2000 is zillennial, which I don't think 2000 really falls into that. I think like 1999 cap. But yeah, you're a zillennial. I just found out because like
Am
I
I?
feel like I relate a lot. No, not you. You're a
Oh.
millennial.
Yeah, you're like,
Anyone
bitch,
born
don't, don't try to
not
take
you,
that
bitch.
title.
Can pretend. If you're born 1996 to 2000, you're a zillennial. So you're a
Interesting.
little mix of both, which is funny because I always feel like I was more millennial.
You
Like,
are.
like I know
That's the trauma, though.
everything. Hmm. It is.
That's
It
not
is.
for any reason but the trauma, and
Like
you were forced to
I've
grow up
talked to
with it.
so many. Yes, exactly. Talked to so many people that are like young, older than me. Like even like 26, 27,
Uh
and they're
huh.
so Gen Z-esque that they don't know
Yes.
shit about like the 90s. And I'm like, how do you not
I
know
know.
what this show was? Like, this was prime. And they're like, I don't know. I didn't watch that. Like, I don't know. It's just funny. Anyway, that was sidetrack.
The first time I realized that you were like mentally so much older than you are was the time you made a George Lopez reference. Like you were like, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and George Lopez would be on. I'm like, you remember that?
Always. And
The
then like Home
scary like
Improvement for some
intro.
reason.
Oh, I loved that
Yes.
show.
I loved Home
I
Improvement.
loved
Oh
Home
my God.
Improvement with Tim, the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah, Full House, all of
Oh
it.
my god, I
I mean, we were
loved
again, we
Full
always say we
House.
watched Nickelodeon, we didn't watch Disney.
Yes.
Like,
So
I
by
was
default,
never
I
my mom
watched
was
those
never
shows.
strict. Yeah,
No,
my mom
God,
was never
no.
strict about, like, George Lopez,
Mm-mm.
SpongeBob, like, I could watch all that shit, but honestly,
Mhm.
that's what makes us funny to this day,
I was
so
just gonna say,
my
I'm
kids
glad
can
that they
watch
weren't.
that shit, build a little personality, like,
It's just
you
so
gotta have a
funny. It's like
little.
there's such a specific demographic, I feel like, that remember that era of Nickelodeon. Like, I remember
Yep.
watching Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, Jimmy
Yes.
Neutron, and then at night it
Uh-huh.
was Full House. And eventually they added Friends on there, but I had watched Friends
Yeah.
from a young age because my mom watched it when it was like actively on TV, which I know this will come out like super late, but like RIP Matthew Perry, that's so sad.
I know.
Everybody keeps talking about conspiracies
It's
around it, and
awful.
I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe, but also
I know.
you never know. Oh, my phone's
Mhm.
on 1%. Our group chat has been popping off today.
Danny Phantom also
I loved Danny Phantom.
had a biggest crush on him.
Oh
Oh my
my
god.
god. What else was on
I loved him.
Nickelodeon? Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob.
iCarly, Drake and Josh.
Oh yeah, which okay, so because we're recording these a little out of order, it might be a little confusing,
Yeah,
but the episode
I
before this
know.
will have talked about all of this. Oh, it's so
I
funny. I
know.
didn't even
I was
think
just
about
thinking
that.
about that. I'm
I
like,
didn't
we
even
just
think about
sidetracked
that.
to last week's episode real quick.
And we had
Like,
that's so
real
funny.
quick.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, we're
Oh my
getting
god.
a little ahead of ourselves, but technically behind because of when these will
Yeah.
come out. Anyway,
So we'll chat more about that in last week's episode,
yeah.
I'm sure, because we're
Yes.
recording it out of order, like we said. Anyways, I was gonna say, should we chat about like the discipline that you need to be an entrepreneur, or do we want to like keep going on about our stories?
Um,
I mean, I didn't have any businesses before I started
well, I was
this.
just gonna
I'm
say
not like good at anything
that's
else.
really all I have to say about that. So let's dive into the actual like
I don't
traits
have
and
any. Oh,
stuff.
this is what I was gonna say. I was trying to keep it in my brain to ask you or to talk about, I guess, because so many people monetize like all of their
Oh,
hobbies and all of
I'm
their
the
interests.
definition of it. Such a bad trait
Yeah,
to have.
I
So
feel
bad.
like we should talk about that
Yeah.
because a lot of people will have something like
Mm-hmm.
and then they do it for fun, but then they monetize it and then they don't want to do it anymore. And I
Yes.
talked to somebody else too that has like a side business, but they have like a corporate job and they're like, I don't want to ever take my side business full time because it's something that's just like an escape from like my corporate job and like something
Why
that I
does it?
just do for fun and it's makes them income, but they're like, I swear if I did it full time, I just would not enjoy it as much as if I was just doing it like part time or just not even making money off of it, just doing it for fun. But
Yes.
like, I haven't had any other hobbies that I guess I've monetized besides like social media. Like, I've always loved doing like videos and
Mm-hmm.
editing. Like, as a kid, I was all about YouTube. Like, I grew up watching so many tutorials, all these
Mm-hmm.
YouTube videos, which I'm so mad at myself for not starting YouTube when I was young.
Same.
But I
I'm
just,
so
yeah,
mad
it's
about it.
so mad. That was like the era.
I just talked about this in that TikTok that I made on my birthday that I posted that was like, if somebody could tell me these things when I was in my 20s, would have made my
Mm-hmm.
life a lot easier. And one of them was not to monetize every hobby that you have. And that's coming from somebody who has monetized every hobby that I've ever had because it literally
Mm-hmm.
makes you hate it. It makes you not. And I'm trying to Google it and I can never remember it. If you're listening to this, or maybe I'll Google it after this thought. Billie Eilish has lyrics that say something along the lines of like, something that I used to do for fun has become something that I hate doing. And she's talking about like how she monetized singing and like that became her career. And it's so true because
Mm-hmm.
think about like if painting is your creative outlet. When
Yeah.
you're done working for the day and you clock out and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to escape and just go into my world and
Yes.
paint. When you start monetizing that, it's something that you have to do, not something that you get to do.
Mhm.
So I get it. I have such a love hate relationship with it because I wouldn't have the
Yeah.
experience that I do now if I didn't do that. But looking
Mhm.
back, I'm like, there is a lot of things that I should have just never even tried. And that's why I try now to have hobbies that I don't like. I have no interest in monetizing another hobby ever. Like, if I start another
Yeah.
business after this, it's going to be something that I don't want to say I don't. do for fun now, but I'm trying very hard to separate the two because you think
Mhm.
that's perfect. You're like, because the saying, oh, do something you
I
love and
love
you'll
it, so I'll
never,
just make money from it.
exactly,
Yeah.
you'll never work a day in your life. And it's like, no, you
Mhm.
fucking work and you grow to hate that thing because as much as we
Mhm.
all love what we do, work is work. And we don't always
Yes.
wake up every morning like willing and ready to do that work. But yeah,
Mhm.
definitely
And
don't monetize everything you do in your life.
not everything, yeah, just pick and choose, and I think this leads into the perfect thing of, like, what it's like being a business owner slash entrepreneur versus just doing it as your hobby or something that you enjoy. Like, so much more comes when you do start to take that step towards a business, entrepreneurship, and it all leads to like an LLC and then the tax portion of it and then contracts and running a business and the legalities of everything. And that's just like a whole other realm that you probably have no experience in. And you were just starting out doing something so creative. Like, I'm just like going off of something random, just like something creative, like an
Mhm.
artist, right? They're like so creative in their painting. There's not really much um like systems behind it, I guess, like actual account systems or
Right.
the discipline behind that. You're just doing something that you enjoy, you're painting, you're singing, whatever. But then when you have to handle the back end things, it becomes so much more challenging because you're like, oh my God, I
Correct.
didn't sign up for all of this. I just think it's so hard to navigate the two and like who's cut out to be an entrepreneur and who's not, because as much as you want to say like anyone can do this, anyone can start a business, anyone can take their business full time, no they can't, not everyone can do that. And I
Mhm.
hate the saying that like literally anyone can do this, anyone is able to quit their job and start a business. Like, I hate the saying because it's like, yeah, you could, but not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur, and not everyone's cut out to be a painter or a singer or a
Mhm.
social media manager. Like, they're just not. And
It just
those are
downplays what we do a
skills.
little bit. Like, it makes it
It
sound
does.
like
Cause,
what
like,
we do
no,
is
not everyone
easy.
can do this.
Right.
Exactly.
No, and you have to be a very specific kind of person, I think, and it's not to say that the skills you need can't be learned. Like, I think anybody could
Yeah.
learn the skills if they, put their mind to it, but it's not
Hmm.
something that I think everybody is just naturally really good at. And I don't sit here to say like, "Oh, we are
Yeah.
so good at this." Like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of things that I needed to learn and
Hmm.
focus on and build up my skills in. It's not like I just, came out the
Yeah.
womb an amazing business owner, but
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to separate yourself from, especially because, sorry, I know I'm like, my brain is ping-ponging right now, but especially because when you do work for yourself and when you are a business owner, there's a lot of opportunity for you to live your life, and one of the main benefits of that is doing what you want when you want. And you have to be able to separate yourself from
Hmm.
taking full advantage of that and knowing when the time is to sit down and get shit
Hmm.
done, because so many people will just, oh, I don't have to do that today, so I'm not going to. And then it just never gets done. And you can't be like that when you
Hmm.
own a business, especially on the legal side of it. Like, you can't just be like, oh,
Yes.
I'll figure out my bookkeeping next month, or I'll figure out how to file my taxes next year. Like, no, you'll legit go to jail. Like, you can't just not do that stuff. But it's minimal stuff too, like day to day. I can't just wake up and be like, oh, I don't feel like posting my clients' content today.
Right.
I can't just
There
do that.
is, yeah, there's no if or if I want to or the next day with things like that. Like, yes, you
Mhm.
can push things off to the next day and it's going to just pile on and pile on. And like, we've done it. We've pushed things off because we can. We've gotten
Yes.
out of bed late because we can.
Mhm.
But there has to come a point where that discipline kicks in and you stop feeling bad for yourself. Like,
100%.
so I see so many people complaining and posting and being like, I'm just so busy. Like, everyone is busy.
Same.
And I'm drowning in work every day. You're drowning
Literally
in and
same.
like the thing about our industry too, and I think a lot of businesses, like, it never ends. There's always
Ever.
something to do. There's always something to work on. There's always something new, a new idea, a new
Mhm.
post, like a new product, a new service that you want to come out with. Like, those thoughts are always running in the back of our brain, and I think that's just how entrepreneurs are wired. Like they're always
Mhm.
like the next thing, or like what could I be doing? How can I be productive? How can I do even more than I'm doing? And that's inevitable. But when I see business owners just complaining about it, I'm like, you signed up for this. And like, I have no sympathy
I don't either. I
sometimes
literally
when
don't
it's
feel
like,
bad at all.
at all. You signed up for
No.
this, and like if it was fucking easy, everyone and their mother would be an entrepreneur and everyone
Yes.
would be running their business and running their own schedule and doing whatever they want. But again, so much flexibility and reward comes from being an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
like you have to also look at it like I'm so lucky that I get to be this busy. I'm so
Yes.
lucky that I have these clients who pay me even though I can take a day off and I still get paid. Like
Mhm.
it's just the gratitude aspect I think of it where most people want to focus on the negative of like I'm so busy, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed and I have all this work and it's like, well, you're literally getting paid thousands of dollars. You can
Yeah.
take a day off if you want. You can relax. You don't have to take on all that work. Like I just wish that more entrepreneurs, I guess, would practice more gratitude.
Yes.
And like not to say you're not supposed to show the bad parts of it. I think we do. Like we've
No.
talked about this.
I
Like
mean, I'm literally
how
sitting here like, when we first got on here, I was gonna be like, "Veronica, we need to go quick because I'm so fucking tired that my eyeballs, like, legit can't stay open." Like, I'm so tired today. We're
yeah.
moving, like, I'm stressed, like, there's just so much
Yes.
going on, but it's not an excuse, and it doesn't mean that I'm gonna, like, get on my story and be like, "I'm so busy, I'm so stressed, we're moving because this is gonna sound so bad, but a lot of the shit that I see people complaining about, I'm like, that's a personal problem, not your client's problem. Like, why is your
Right.
client like having to pay for
Mhm.
you not being able to structure your time well? You know
Yes.
what I mean? Is that mean? I
Mhm.
feel like that sounds
But I
mean.
but I just wouldn't be posting that when I
No.
know my clients follow me or like other people like I'm busy and I'm stressed every fucking day.
Every
Like
day of my life. My cortisol
that's how
levels
it
haven't gone
goes.
down in like 5 years.
No. I've been stressed since I started this business and like
Same.
life doesn't stop. Like things
No.
are not going to stop happening in your life. Things won't stop happening in your business. Like you will lose clients, you will gain more clients and get
Mhm.
even busier. Like there is shit that's going to hit the fan and like it's up to you of how you're going to handle that, but like
Yep.
in no way should you be showing up and not even discouraging other people, but in a way it is. It's like people are following us or like other business owners and they're like,
Mhm.
well, if this is how it's going to be, which like yeah, it is. So like prepare yourself. You sign up for it.
Right.
You sign up to be an entrepreneur and like
You gotta be built
unless you
different.
hire a team, if you're going to hire a team that's going to like take all this work off of your shoulders, like highly suggest if you're somebody that's like a stressful person and you get
Right.
overwhelmed really easily, like you might want to either A not take on as much or like B hire help.
Mhm.
But that's exactly why a year into my business I had to hire help because I was getting to the point of burnout. I
Mhm.
was getting to the point of like I'm way too stressed and like I can't just sit here and feel bad for myself.
Right,
I need
like,
to
I
do
gotta make shit
something.
happen.
Yeah, so I had to either drop a client or I had to hire,
Mhm.
and I hired, and that's what I chose to do. But like for you as an entrepreneur, you are signing up for this shit and like you have a choice. You do have a choice. Like either drop your workload or hire help or don't be an entrepreneur. I don't know, but it's just
Well, it's hard too
that's just
because
the reality.
I don't want it to sound like we're sitting here being like, "You should never talk about the hard side of it," and I know we kind of already said that this episode, because that's not what we're saying. But if
No.
your idea, this was something else that I said in that video that I made too, was if your idea of small talk is complaining, the thing that you're complaining about isn't the problem, you're the problem. If your
Yeah.
idea of showing up on your Instagram story that day is being like, "I'm so busy, I'm so stressed, I'm so tired,"
Yeah.
and then you show yourself doing things that don't contribute to making you not stressed. Like, where I wanted to go with that was when I first started this business, I lost a significant amount of friends. And that's not to say they were like best friends or good friends that
Mhm.
whatever. I drifted away from a lot of groups of people that I used to hang out with because I became irrelevant to them because I had to say no all the time. Like, I couldn't go
Yeah.
out on a random Thursday afternoon anymore and get
Mhm.
day drunk with them like I used to when I worked in food and beverage in the
Right.
fitness industry, because I had
Yeah.
to force myself to say, no, I literally have I have a business to
Mhm.
run. I have work to do. I can't not do that. And don't get me wrong, the beauty of this industry too, or being an entrepreneur, is that if I wanted to, I could. Like if I wanted to right
Right.
now, when we're done recording, I could go out and do something if I wanted to. But I
But should
can't.
you?
But should I? Yes, probably not
Yeah.
because of the amount of work that I just explained to you that I have before we got
Right.
on this podcast. But again, I'm not going to get on my Instagram story and be like, "Oh my god, I have so much client work to do," because that I don't know. I just try to think of it from the client's perspective. Like if I were to be a client of a
Mhm.
social media manager who got on their story, I would be like, damn, is she too busy to like work with us? Like, am I getting low quality work
Mhm.
because she seems like really busy all the time? And there's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
being busy all the time, but it's, you have to, again, you have to sacrifice so much and you have to really determine what is most important and what's going to move you forward. And sometimes that comes at the cost of not doing things that you want to do for fun. And it sucks,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying,
Mhm.
everybody should live miserably and never do anything for fun and work all
Yeah.
the time and never complain about it, but like finding that balance is really hard. And again,
Mhm.
I hate to say it in a way where like I don't really have sympathy for people when I see them, you know, living a way that they shouldn't be living.
Traveling and,
Yeah.
like, getting on flights and, like, going to other countries or, like, the simple thing of just, like, hanging out with your friends during the day and, like, grabbing
Mhm.
lunch instead of the pile of work that you just complained about that you had. It's like you are making that choice at the end of the day, and it's like, oh, I forget who it was that we saw that said they hated social media, but they were in the social media field, and it's
Mhm.
like, for your clients that are seeing that, kind of a bad look that you're like, I just think people don't think about what they post of who is going to see this content,
Mhm.
and I just think of my client. Like every time I post something, I'm like, what will my client think of this? Like, is this a bad look for me? Is
Yes.
this, and I just like, we could sit and complain all day about how much work we have and
All day.
how busy we are. And it just comes down to your discipline at the end of the day. And that's why
Mhm.
I don't think everyone is built for entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people don't have that discipline to be like, no, I have to say yes to everything. I can't let my friends forget about me. I can't
Mhm.
miss like this dinner or like this lunch because I have to work. Like I have to go to those social events, and it is a balance. And like you said, we don't want anyone to think that you have to miss out on like life events or like important
Mhm.
things, but you do have to pick and choose. And sometimes that requires sacrificing your personal life or
Mhm.
like social events in order to get the deliverables that you're being contracted and paid to do. And it sucks. And if you were in a 9 to 5, like, yes, you wouldn't be able to do those things, but you would be able to just clock out at 5 o'clock and then go do whatever. But unfortunately, when you're an entrepreneur, that's not always the
Clocking
case.
out sometimes is
You
10 p.m.
right. And it just depends. Like, yeah, if you want to go out and do the lunch, then you do have to stay up probably or
Mhm.
like change it to a different day unless you hire help. And like, that's where that comes in is I didn't start like until I hired help like 6 to 8 hours a week, which I'm not like getting that anymore. So I'm busier and I'm not able to go out and do as many things as I used to. But when I first hired, like I was able to go to the beach for an hour with my friend or like
Right.
go get a quick coffee or lunch because I was saving 6 to 8 hours a week,
Mhm.
which is a lot as somebody with multiple clients. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of work that I wasn't having to do. But when you don't have that, like I can't spend 68 hours a week out of my house and
Right.
go do something. Like on top of if you have pets, if you like have kids, like
Mhm.
I have to take Benny on a walk every day. So that's
Mhm.
already like 45 minutes of my time. If I want to work out, that's another like 30, 40 minutes of my time.
Mhm.
Like that's already 2 hours of the day I'm losing. So I
Right.
just like feel like I have to make up for that. And a lot of people I think about us and they're like, oh, such a flexible schedule. Like she can just take time off. She can do whatever. And it's like, again, like we've mentioned before, it has to get done at some point, but
Yeah.
like don't complain about it when you put yourself in this position. That is what
Right.
it's my biggest pet peeve is like if you're going to complain about something, either change it or don't
Do
complain
something
to
about it.
me
Right.
or
Do
like
something about
yeah,
it.
don't complain on your story. Just do something.
Mhm.
And I had to do something because was like I feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm complaining to my friends about
Yeah.
like I'm literally so overwhelmed and Mark was like, "You can't keep taking on clients. Why do you keep taking on clients?" Like wouldn't stop taking on freaking clients. And then I was like, "Oh my god," panicking, and I had to, like, hire so fast. Like, I think I
Right.
hired within 2 weeks because I was so stressed out with the client work. Because I onboarded 2 clients that month, 2 more, so I had 6, and I was handling that by myself, and I was like, "What am I literally doing? Why am I pushing myself
Mhm.
to this point?" So it's also, like, saying no. Like, that's a huge
Yeah.
factor in entrepreneurship too.
Or, like, not that I well, hold on, before I continue, I wanna go back really quick to talking about when we said, is it a bad look for me to post this on, my Instagram or my social media? Because I am a very firm believer that you shouldn't have to filter yourself. Like, I am
Yeah.
very proud of the fact that I work with all people who wouldn't be scared of me dropping an F bomb on my Instagram. You know what I
No.
mean? But it's thing so, like, think I don't wanna speak for you, but I know I don't, and I think you don't mean it in a way that you need to, like, filter yourself and you need to put on
No.
this show. I think what we both mean by that is if I have a client that I know is waiting for me to finish something for them, and I
Mhm.
might be like a day or 2 behind on it because I was just so busy that week, I would literally never have the balls to post that I'm, like, out to dinner, or, like, even if I
No.
am, like, if you
No.
are, that's your own choice, but,
Or
like,
you're on vacation,
yes,
or
or,
you're,
like, at
like,
the
out at the
beach, getting
beach.
my nails done. Like, I just would
Yes.
never have the balls for that, and, like, granted, that might not be current, like, it might not be that might be a picture of me having a drink on the beach from a month ago that I'm just, like, reminiscing on and wanna use on my Instagram
Yeah.
story, but I still would feel so weird. Like, I just would never
Mhm.
have the balls or, like, think that that's okay, and then even to just, like, know in my head, like, I have so much shit that I need to be doing, and I'm putting on this, show on my Instagram story that I'm having a carefree day, and I'm shopping, and I'm going to, like, Target,
Yeah.
and I'm going to the beach, and I'm getting a drink, and I went
Mhm.
out to lunch. Like, I just would never have the balls to post stuff like that.
And, like, you can do it too, and that's the part that
Yes.
pisses us off is, like,
Yes.
that's what you see, and then but then they're, like, so busy or, like, so stressed out, but then the
Mhm.
other content is, like, travel the world, and you can do this too, and everyone can start their own business and just, like, pick up and go and do whatever you want. And it's like those two things can happen, but it's not that we want a filter. It's just like if you're going to do something, just know that there are consequences to what you're doing. If I take, like, I'm literally, well, I'll be back by then. I'll already be back by the time this episode comes
Mhm.
on, but I'm going on a family vacation and, like, I'm working every single night to be able to do that, and, like, I
Mhm.
still have to work while I'm there, and we've
Right.
talked about this, like, a lot of people aren't willing to give that up, or they can't find that balance, or it's all or nothing. It's like, I have to be present and spending time with family and friends,
Mhm.
or it's I have to be working, and, like, you can do both. It's just like, where are you gonna prioritize that, and are you gonna
Mhm.
have the discipline and what's the other word I'm looking for? Just, like, the to not complain about it after, I guess. Like, this is what I signed up for. I signed up for this to be my job. I'm
Right.
going on a vacation and I'm still getting paid by clients. So, like, who am I to be posting on vacation on my business page or whatever for clients to be seeing that? And if I'm, like, not working at all, but then I'm complaining how busy I am when I get back from the vacation, they'd be like,
Right.
what the hell? Like, it's just a bad look. So, I don't think everyone's cut out for this life.
I don't either, and I think that's, like, it's obviously a huge selling point that a lot of people use, where it's
Yeah.
like, you can work from anywhere, you can do whatever,
Mhm.
everybody can do this, let me teach you how to do this, and it's like,
Yep.
that's why I've always been so weird about just people using that as a tactic. Like, I feel like there's always
Yeah.
very specific types of people that we talk about or call out for using specific hooks and stuff in their content, and that's one
Mhm.
of them. Like, I just hate that.
It's the biggest one of
Mhm.
all. It's like, take my course, book a call, and I'll
Yep.
teach you how I did it. And
Mhm.
like our past episode, it also could be a part of, like, you're getting support financially from a partner,
Mhm.
from your family. Like, that doesn't play into what you're going to be teaching somebody,
Right.
and it's all, like, fraudulent behavior. So a lot of
Mhm.
the time these people that are getting to, like, travel, they're not posting that they have an assistant or that they're
Mhm.
getting all this help. They're just posting that they're traveling, and they're like, going out to lunch with friends, but nobody knows they have an assistant that's
Mhm.
helping them. And that's why they get to do it. But instead, they're just like, start a business and you can do it too. And you'll have all this free time and make all this money. It's like, I think it's just the transparency aspect. And
Mhm.
I don't want a filter. I don't want you to be like, everything's perfect and I'm not busy at all. But it's like, you don't even have to post you're busy. Why do you have to post that?
Right.
For what? Or like that you're
Or
on
at least don't
vacation. You don't have
follow
to
it up.
post that.
Right. Don't follow it up with you doing things that aren't
Yes.
contributing to you not being busy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm like I don't feel bad that now you're busy with client work after you were just out all day like at the beach with
Right.
friends and like doing fun shit, which like good on you, but you
Yeah.
can't complain about that after. It's
Right, because
very
it's not
like
like we're also sitting here being
hypocritical.
like, you need to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week
No.
and never take time off and never bitch about it and never complain and never feel busy and never feel
No.
stressed. Like, we're all human, first of all. So, like,
Yeah.
we're going to feel these things. I just think
Yes.
sometimes, again, like we said, it's just not a great look to be
Mhm.
posting certain things like that. But
Yeah.
anyway, we could
It's just such a
go on and
discipline
on about
aspect
that. Yeah.
of I
Self
know.
discipline,
The
time management.
it's yes, it's
Mhm.
so important as a business owner.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's why I think we said on the episode that we talked about, like, when you're going on vacation and you're doing, like, double the work
mhm.
beforehand,
Yeah.
we what was something we said something on there that I wanted to, like, reiterate, and I don't remember what the thought I literally just watched the thought leave my brain again. There it goes. Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
Willing to fail?
I that's yeah, well, first of all, yes, you do need to be willing to fail, but I also think there are some people that do better in a structured full-time W-2 traditional
Yes.
job because some people like the structure of that better and they like the idea
Mhm.
of, you clock out and you go home and that's it. And you
Yeah.
go on vacation and you don't have to pick up your phone the entire time. You don't have to check your work email.
Mhm.
Like again, we've talked about this before. I don't there really hasn't been a time where I haven't at least checked in on like my work phone while I'm on vacation. I
Mhm.
might not be like
Yeah.
creating content while I'm there, but that's because the week before I spent twice the amount of time working to get all of that
Mhm.
done. And we've said it before. I know Bree has said this. Bree, if you're listening to this, I know she said it that like the
Mhm.
amount of work that goes into going on a vacation makes you not even want to go on the vacation.
Literally.
I'm
Literally.
like, yeah, I
And when it's
feel
just
that.
you, it's like you have to account for the amount of time you're going to spend
Mm-hmm.
getting everything ready and like hoping there's Wi-Fi and hoping that there's connection and like
Yeah.
your flight's not delayed and then you miss your post or whatever. Like there's so many logistical aspects, but I also on the 9 to 5 thing, like I hate when people talk down to 9 to 5s too
They're
because like
really
you
not
said,
that bad. Like,
no, they're not bad for a lot of people and a lot of people need that structure and they're happy in their jobs. So I hate when people are posting like corporate is terrible and like you get no freedom and you get no
mhm.
growth. Like I have friends that are in corporate that are treated very well. They get
Yeah, same.
amazing benefits, they make a lot of money,
Mhm.
like get promoted every 6 months
Mhm.
and get their vacation time and like they can just clock out and they're happy and they have a balance and that's fine too. So like I just a lot of entrepreneurs I think are always pushing you to quit and like
Mhm.
not be in corporate and it's like these businesses still got to run. Somebody has to work
Right.
there and
But it's also like
it's
there
not
is
always
nothing wrong
possible
with
for
working a 9
people.
to 5. Nothing. Like
No,
there's
nothing.
nothing wrong with that.
And not everyone has the resources or the skill set or even like the desire to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So
and you
like
don't have
to
to.
push this narrative, like you don't have to do that. You don't have to be so good at something. You don't have to turn your side hobby into
Mhm.
a business. Like some people are just fine with climbing a corporate ladder or being in their corporate position
Mhm.
and we have to like I don't know, be nicer about that. I think a lot of
Mhm.
entrepreneurs just want you to join them and like feel like you're a part of this and it's okay to not be. Like
No, I'm jealous
literally
of people that have 9 to 5s that clock out when they go like they're done with work, they clock out, they don't think
right.
about it again. Like, are you
What's
kidding?
it like?
Yeah, I haven't felt that way in 5 years. I don't know what that's like.
No, literally. Literally.
But it's just
It
not a
is
bad
nice.
it's not a bad thing, and it's,
No.
exactly like you said, I think there are a lot of people that try to make it sound like, "Oh, I'm better than you, I own a business," and there's just so
Mhm.
much that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people, don't talk about, but we
And
will.
there's gonna be shit that you don't like to do either. Like, I don't like doing my taxes. I had a nightmare tax season this year because I mean, I said it on the other episode, and I don't even want to get into it because I'll have PTSD. Like, I got screwed by my accountant and
Mhm.
had to find a new one, and like bookkeeping. Like, there's
That would
nobody
have been
wants to
enough
do
to make
those
somebody
things.
quit, like, honestly,
Yes.
that happening
And
to the wrong person would have been enough for them to be like, "Fuck it, take me to jail for tax fraud, I don't care."
literally, I want to file bankruptcy. Like,
Contemplated it?
I was so done. I'm like, none of this is going to get finished. I'm getting charged all these penalties. Like, it's not my fault. You're like, nobody wants to deal with that. I don't
Right.
want to have to deal with like the analytical side of it and
No.
like presentations and like doing my income and my taxes and like all of the shit that goes into I don't want to have to pay $400 for a subscription that I need every month
Right.
to run my accounts. I don't want to have to buy a second phone, but like I have to because that's
And I
what I need to
will.
be
Like,
successful in my business. But it's just like you have to know that it's not just all creative. Like you don't just get to show up and just do the creative part of work, which is what we love to do, but
mhm.
that is literally like 10% of your job
Well, and
and the
kinda
rest is
right, and giving that perspective of it, if that is the part that you enjoy most and you don't actively enjoy being a full business owner, work for somebody doing just that part. Let them outsource just
yeah.
that part to you. It's okay to
Mhm.
not be
Have to be your own.
yes, to be your own boss. It's low key, it sucks being your own
Mhm.
boss. That was dramatic,
Yeah,
but it's
especially
just
if
a
you have
lot.
like a team. I mean, we've talked about
Mhm,
agency versus just being a social media manager and at what point do you want to scale or do you want to pull
mhm,
back and it's like I had to pull back because I don't want to be an agency
right,
and well, there's only so much work one person can handle without like running themselves to the ground and
yeah,
that's where again like that discipline has to come in and you have to kind of look at everything and in a perspective of like okay what is making me money what's not making me money do I really need this client like
mhm,
am I valued with this client am I charging enough with this one like where can I
pull
figure
back,
things out to yeah to make my life easier
right,
as an entrepreneur and yeah it's just hard with all the expenses you have and just like running a business the operational side of it is really difficult so yeah again I don't think everyone is cut out for it and it's okay to work for somebody else and it's okay to not be your own boss and be a boss babe and whatever like
boss
it's
babe.
also really nice to not have to do that like it is nice
Mhm,
there's like pros and cons I think to both
all of
like
it,
anything
yeah. And
yeah
that's the thing. That's why I was like, I just looked at the time and I was like, oh, okay, 45 minutes of us convincing people not to be entrepreneurs. But that's like not, it's just not everybody talks about both sides of it. And
no
uh, it's the truth, you know? And it's not that
if
I,
anything, I wanna prepare people for, like,
yes, that's what I was
what it
just going to
really is
say.
like.
Mm-hmm.
I want to prepare people because I think a lot of the time entrepreneurs are only posting the good parts,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not sharing those things of, like, what is it really like to run a business? What is it like
Mm-hmm.
when you lose a client and you don't have another one lined up?
Right.
Oh, your income could drop by 2, 3, 5, like whatever thousand that you're making instantly. And like you don't just get to replace that like you do in a corporate job.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just like knowing what you're about to dive into and knowing that like no one's going to save you. No one's feeling bad for you because they're also running their own shit and also drowning. So like
Yep.
it's literally just everyone thinks and I saw this meme and it was like everyone thinks entrepreneurs just like are so rich and they get to just travel and like do whatever. The reality is we're just like holding our head above the water like trying
Literally
not to drown and like
all,
do a
all
good
the
thing.
time.
Yes. And, like, we love our jobs.
I
I don't want
love
it to
it
sound like
so
we don't
much. Like, there really
love our
is
job.
truly nothing like, if somebody were to look at me right now and be like, "What would you do if you weren't doing this?" Like, I don't know. I don't have
Yeah.
literally any idea what I would be doing if it wasn't this, and it's because I love this. So, I also, like,
Mhm.
if any of our clients are listening to this, I don't want you to think that I'm sitting here, like, complaining about my job or complaining about what we
No.
do. It's just, again, I want to be able to help somebody know a little bit more of what they're stepping into. And this goes for every industry, not just us. Like this goes for
Mhm.
anybody starting a business. And you have to be very, I don't know if strong willed is the right word that I want to use, but you have to be able to get knocked down and stand back up
Yes.
and not let that be what stops you from doing it. Even like, let's say you haven't started a business yet and you're listening to this episode and you're like, well, fuck what they're saying. I'm going to do it anyway because
Yeah.
I know that I'll be able to handle that. Like, that's a trait that you need to have. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's
And, like,
not
you have to go through that and be like, I mean, there's been so many times where I'm like, "Is this worth it? Like, should I quit?
every
Should I
day.
not?" But then everything, like, pulls me back to, like, I
Mhm.
love my job and
Yeah.
I love my clients, like, to my core. I love what I do for them and, like,
Yeah.
I love the creative side of it. And I think it's okay to say you don't love doing certain things like the taxes and the behind the scenes of your own business. That doesn't mean we don't love what we're doing for our clients. Like, this has nothing to do with our clients. It's like the back end of our own business
I was gonna
of
say
just
my
the
client work
structure.
is the least
Oh,
stressful
yeah.
thing that
The
I have.
least of my
That's
worries.
the
The
least of my
least.
worries.
Yes. Correct. That's what I mean. It's like, that's not, it's really, it's your own business that's going to drive
Yeah,
you
it really
insane.
is. It's
It's
not
not,
anybody else. It's my own.
it's not your client work that's gonna make you question shit. Like, unless
No.
you're literally drowning in client work or like you're taking clients that you aren't passionate about
Mhm.
or like the industry or like the
Yeah.
product and service or whatever. I think that's when, you know, you'll be like, okay, I hate my job.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason I could think of. Like, you're in
Right.
an industry or working with an industry you don't like. So
Which I
as
feel
long
like
as you're
in the
working with like,
beginning, yeah, you
oh
have to
yeah,
be
you're probably not.
right, because in
You're
the
probably
beginning,
not.
you're so quick to say yes to all of these different things and all of these different
Yes.
opportunities, and then it gets to the point where you're like, are the
Hmm.
pros outweighing the cons? Because when I first started, I would say my pros and cons list were probably pretty even with each other, and then I finally got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm
Yeah.
very settled in what I'm doing. I'm only working with people that I like. That right now my pros and cons list is like one con for every 10 pros. Like I'm working at like a 1 to 10
Yes.
ratio. And I feel like that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Like there's
Yeah.
not and again, nothing on that cons list is about the work that I do for my clients. It's
No.
every other technical aspect that comes. It's Instagram being down. You know what I mean? Like literally Instagram
Yes.
was just down this morning and I'm like I can't
Yes.
fucking get these posts up because Instagram is down. Or like I posted a really good reel that was popping off on one of my clients and all of a sudden Instagram's down. I'm like this is going to fuck up the engagement. Like come on.
I know I just posted my shit and then it
Me
like
too.
was down. I was like, you're joking. You're
You're
joking.
joking. I thought it was just me. Like, I'm glad Bree said something in that group text
I
because I
know.
was like, well, because you know what scares me when that happens is have you ever been like logged out of an account and when you click on
Oh
it,
my god.
it still says you're in there
Mhm.
for a second and then nothing will load and then it like tells you that you got kicked out. I literally get such bad anxiety that somebody's account has been hacked, the password's been changed. Like
I
any
know.
my god, it gives
That's
me
what I was
such bad
thinking.
anxiety. Me too. I was like, "Oh my
I
god,
was scared
their
that I
account's
was
hacked."
hacked or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, cuz it like wasn't posting the story, it wasn't refreshing anything. I
Yes.
thought it was going to pop up like
Logged
log
out.
back in.
Yes.
Yes, I was
Same.
so scared this morning. I was like, "Oh my god, I
Mhm.
swear to god."
And somebody
Um,
did like 2 days ago, I woke up at well, I checked my email in the morning and at like 2 a.m. I had an email that was like, "Is this you resetting your password?" Like somebody tried to reset my Instagram password at like
wait,
2 a.m. the other
same.
day. Okay,
My
you're
personal.
same.
I was like,
Well, not my
"Why are you
personal,
trying to get into
but
my?" Mine was my personal, but I was like, "Why are you trying to get in that? There's nothing."
do you know what's
Like,
so weird is it was my friend
I,
Kaylee. I don't know if she listens to this. She owns a business. She posted on her story that day that that happened to her. And I was like, oh my
that's
God, this
so
happened to
weird.
me too. And she was like, you're literally like the 20th person to tell me this. I'm not exaggerating. So I wonder if that was like a
What the
glitch in
heck?
their system or something. Cause I
Maybe.
mean, unless all of us happened to have somebody
Yeah.
trying to log into our account.
Yeah, no, that happened to me, and I was like,
Oh my
I
God,
didn't
that's
click on the
so.
email,
No, me
even though
either.
it said it was from Instagram. I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know,
I
I just
just
don't want to
deleted
click
it.
anything,
Right. And then
so
I
I
went
didn't. But
Because also, if you're listening to this, friendly reminder, turn your two-factor on, do the code authentication. What
yes,
the fuck word is that? Do the two code
authentication.
authentication. Well, okay, so also this week is Thanksgiving. Should we talk about,
Oh yeah,
after bitching about things that we hate for 45 minutes, should we talk about some things we like and are thankful for?
yeah, yeah. I'm thankful for you and our podcast, our baby,
I
and
love
all
our
of you
podcast.
guys.
Yes.
And thankful for our jobs in this economy.
Honestly, fucking for real.
Like
Very
thankful for
thankful.
our clients, our relationships, a
Mhm.
roof under our head.
Yep, I was
Like
just gonna say
a lot
very
of
thankful
things.
for the house that I will live in by the time this episode comes out. Thankful to
Yes.
be able to live in somewhere with a roof over my
Mhm.
head, let alone my basically dream house. So that's
Yep.
one of them. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the internet for bringing us
Yeah.
together.
Wi-Fi.
Thank
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Lots of things that we're thankful for. But for real, thankful for you guys for listening to this and
Mhm.
understanding what I mean. Like, I feel like so often I'm like listening to what we're saying during an episode and I'm like, fuck, like I don't really mean it like that. But I just know that our people will
Yeah.
understand what we mean. And I'm very, very thankful
Mhm.
for that. And I'm very thankful for, I mean, I know we
Yeah.
started this podcast with the word unfiltered literally in the name of it, but
Mhm.
just very thankful for the idea that we even have a space to talk the way that we do because for a
Yes.
long time, I don't think anybody really had that. And I'm very thankful that people trust us with the things that they trust us with. Like some of the
Mhm.
DMs that we get and like, on the podcast page, on my personal, like I think we
Yes.
just talked about this in an episode recently. Like I'm very thankful and mind blown sometimes at the things that people trust me with, like or trust us with, like the
Mhm.
questions that they ask us. I'm like, you trust me to like look over this for you? Like that's crazy. How did
Yeah. Or
like
like the stories we hear or
mm-hmm.
how we helped somebody.
Yeah,
So,
that's always
yeah,
mind
me
blowing.
too. Mhm. Yeah,
So
we love our jobs. It's just like us being real, unfiltered,
mm-hmm.
wanting you to see both sides of it and have that realistic
Expectation.
view and
Mm-hmm.
expectation and like just want to set you up for success. Like at the end of the day, like we always say, we want you to be the best you and successful and just like have all the tools and all the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
necessary to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means for you, if it means entrepreneurship or if it means corporate or if it means no job, like whatever
Mhm.
makes you happy. But we're never going to sit here and tell you you can do this too and woohoo, start a business. Like, yeah, fucking go for it. If
Yeah,
like you're ready for all this shit, let's fucking go. We'll be your first
bring it on.
supporters.
Yes, like I will be your
We will
biggest
literally be
cheerleader.
rooting for you and help you with anything. But
And there's also
just
nothing
know,
wrong with trying and realizing that it's not for you. Like it's fine. I
yes.
mean, some days I fucking question if this is for me and I'm a long time into
Yeah.
this. I'm like, am I like
Yeah.
doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now? But like it's
Exactly. And I think that's normal. That is so normal
mhm.
to think about what if or like in
Mhm.
anything in your life. You're like, well, what if I stopped this? Or like, what would happen if I lived in a different place or I was
Mhm.
like doing something else? And I just think it's the grass is always greener and we always think about what we don't have and
Yeah.
want what we don't want what we don't have is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. But yeah, it's okay to fail. Like you're probably going to fail a lot in your
Mhm.
business if you have one. You're probably going to fail a lot in life and it's just lessons learned and you move on
We're
and you
like
start over or you keep
demotivational
going.
speakers. Like we're like the opposite
Yeah.
of motivational speakers.
Hey, I'll take it. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay to fail. It's okay to quit. It's okay to literally do whatever the hell you want. But
As long as you're happy
not
more
gonna
often than you're not. Because you're not going to
yes.
be happy 100% of the time. And it's also hard too,
Mhm.
because like a part of me, we could sit here and be like, it's so easy. We know exactly how to do everything. We'll teach you exactly how to
Yeah.
do it in promotion of some things that we have coming up. Like we could very easily say that, but we
Yeah.
don't. And all we could ever hope is to give, every resource and tool that we do have available and think would help somebody. But I mean, it's
Mhm.
just it is what it is, that like shit's gonna pop up that's gonna make you stressed out, and you're gonna cry, and there's gonna be times where you're like, I'm
Yeah.
throwing in the fucking towel because I'm done with this shit. Like it just is what it
Mhm.
is. So,
Yeah.
we could approach it from a very different way. So I hope that it doesn't come off as, us just
Yeah.
like being negative and whatever, like, we're demotivating people for to
Yeah.
not want to
I'd
do these
rather be that.
things. Me
I'd
too.
rather be that
Than to
than
be
be like,
the
"Oh my god, they told me it was, like, all
yes.
wonderful and I'll get to do all these things, and then
Exactly.
it's not like that at all. Like, why didn't you guys talk about that?" I
Mhm.
never wanna get a DM or hear from somebody that
Right.
we didn't tell them the reality of what they would be facing
Mhm.
or,
Yeah.
like, what they'd be going through, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, I was, like,
And
set up
that's
for failure."
right. And that's what's so funny to me is like every single person that you see has been in this position. Nobody starts a business and it's easy. Like
Yeah.
nobody. So
No.
that's what's so mind-blowing to me, just some of the things that people post, and I'm like, but I know, like not just only from my own experience do I know, but just
Mhm.
it's the common experience from everybody that does that. Like it's going to be hard sometimes. It doesn't need to be hard all the time, but it's going to be hard
Mhm.
sometimes. And the fact that you don't, again, I don't think everybody needs to be like showing up on Instagram being like, my day was so hard today. Here's what happened. I had a really annoying call with my accountant. My taxes got all
Yeah.
messed up. Like, I don't think
Right,
everybody
I could have
needs,
been on my stories
yeah,
posting about that.
no, but you don't need to make it sound like you know the answer to everything, because like
Mhm.
we don't know the answers to everything. All I can do is hope that by what we are talking about on our podcast and on our socials, that it helps somebody to feel less alone. Like if anything, I don't
Yeah.
really give a shit about, I don't mean this the way that it's going to sound. I care more about making somebody feel less alone than I do about being like the go-to
Yeah.
person to help somebody start a business. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I would rather somebody listen to this podcast and be like, "Wow, like I have experienced every single one of those emotions," than for somebody to listen to this and be like, "I want them to teach me how to start my business."
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
both of those things happen at the same time, cool, love that. But at the end of the day, I want somebody to feel less alone, especially because I was
Yeah.
very alone during the beginning of my business. So
Same.
now I'm
And
like,
I know that we're like literally at the hour mark, but I also wanted to touch on this because I know we're both not consistent on our social media page. And I want to talk about that really quickly
yes, I do too.
because if you follow us, like our personal or our business pages, obviously we're really consistent with the podcast like pretty much every day.
Yeah.
We're posting to that because it's just really important to us and we love our podcast. But if you've noticed, because we are very fucking busy with work and with the podcast, like we're doing a lot. Um, we have not been consistent with our social media. I want to say for like a year, honestly, I haven't been consistent. Or like
I would say mine's close
I'll
to 2
post
years, honestly, which is so bad, like, thinking
and we
about that,
used to
but
be very consistent. Like we used to
yes.
post all the time.
Every
And
day,
I think
baby.
there's also this narrative where you have to constantly be posting to be bringing awareness to your page
Mhm.
and getting more clients. And I understand that, but we have a hot take on that you
Mhm.
do not have to post every single day because if
Mhm.
we lost a client, like you said the other day, Lex, to me, you're like, if I lost a client, like I know what I would need to do to replace that client because the hours that I was spending on that client that I lost, I'm going to spend into my content to
Mhm.
then get another client. So, right now, with like how full we are with clients, and that's just a priority to us. Like,
Mhm.
if I have client work and
My
I'm
content
busy
doesn't
with
get
that,
done.
I don't prioritize my content.
No.
And I'm just going to say it like that's okay, and that is necessary. So if you're going to be so packed with work, like sometimes you do need to put yourself on the side burner for a little bit or figure out like what's realistic. Maybe you post like
Mhm.
once a week instead of 3 or 4, like whatever it is. I think I post once every like 2 3 weeks if that right now because I'm like I don't really need to attract more
Mhm.
clients right now, but also like I'm active on my stories and we both are. So I
Yes.
think that that's more important than like posting to your feed,
And that's just,
but
like,
I just
easier
can't.
too. Like, your story is just,
It is
like, you
easier.
show up,
Yeah.
like, I kinda just post whatever on there, but no, I mean,
Yeah.
just going off exactly like you said, I haven't been in a place for a long time where I actively need to be pushing new content out because I need to be bringing in new, I hate even talking about it like this, but like lead generation. Like I
Yeah.
know that if I wanted to have a bunch of people requesting my services by next week, I would be posting Monday through Friday and I would be very
Yes.
strategic about it. And I was for a
Same.
very long time. And I do think like I've never been a firm believer that you need to post every single day. I think consistency
Mhm.
is key when you are in a season of growing and wanting to attract new clients.
Yeah.
But it, you know, exactly like I said to you and exactly like you just said, if tomorrow, knock on wood, also, if you're listening to this, I love you, don't leave me. If all of my clients were to leave me tomorrow, I would then take that time and dedicate it back towards my own content. But because right now,
Yes.
and you know, there's going to be people that have a different take on that where it's like your content is important no matter what. Like you need
Yeah.
to be posting
You're a
consistently all the time.
client.
And
Yeah.
if you have the capacity for that, I love that for you.
Right.
But if you are to a point where you don't need to be bringing in any more clients to your roster or, you know, set up a wait list or whatever, your content
Mhm.
doesn't need to be a priority and you don't need to post every single day. And nobody will notice if you don't post every single day.
Yeah. Like, sorry, but they won't.
Sorry, they won't.
But it's the same people that are posting like once or twice a day that
Mhm.
are the ones that are overwhelmed
Mhm.
with work. And you're seeing that and you're like, but you have time to make that post. And like, you are posting across like 4 different platforms or whatever. Like, you are active on all of these platforms. So
Mhm.
it's just like, just know it's okay to scale back and like prioritize certain things that
Mhm.
matter or the ones that you need to get done.
Right. Let's say for example, you're in a season where you're not very busy. You have 10 posts planned out. You're going to post Monday through Friday for the next 2 weeks. Let's say while in the process of those 2 weeks coming up, you realize like, "Oh, I don't need to, you know, post as much because I don't have any client openings." Spread that content out. Like instead of doing Monday through Friday, do 2 posts a week for the next
Yeah.
5
And then you have
weeks
your whole
or
month.
whatever it was. Yeah,
You have
like
your
and
whole
then
month done.
exactly. Like it doesn't use the
Or just like
content.
be active on your stories. Like more people
Mhm.
are interacting and like seeing stories. So you're popping up fresh in their brain
Yeah.
than actual posts. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've never been one that's like, you need to post every single day and you need to,
No.
cause like I don't scroll my timeline every single day. Like, I'm
No.
not seeing what other social media managers are posting much. And like, that may be a bad thing because you're like, oh, you need to engage with your industry and people build your community. And I'm like, I'm having conversations in
All day
my
every day.
DMs, on stories. Like,
Mhm.
I'm present in a way that is sustainable for me right now. And that's
Yes.
all I can do right now. And I think that's okay. So take it as a sign that I'd rather see you post high quality content rather than
Mhm.
just throwing something together really fast because you don't have the time
And because you
just
feel
for the
like you
sake of
need
throwing
to.
something up.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
I 100% agree. And your
We'll see you
content
in the new
works.
year if
I really do think that you and I need to do like a content challenge in January or something. Like I really think we need to. But like what I was going to say is your content eventually works for you. So like I
Mhm.
spent almost 2.5, 3 years straight posting Monday through Friday. And like granted, I've archived
Mhm.
a lot of it just because it's not relevant anymore, but I have a ton of content available right now. I have YouTube videos, I have posts on
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok, I have my stories, I have guides. Like I have things readily available that it's not like they're showing up and they're like, I have no idea who this girl is on my page for the first
Right.
time. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like eventually, you know, and that's actually so funny to bring up too, because I had a call with somebody that I brought on as a new client, like probably a month ago at this point, and I said to her, I was like, you know, don't look at my Instagram frequency of posting because you do as I say, not as I do. Like mine's on a little bit of a hiatus right now. And she was like, I literally didn't
Mhm.
even look at the dates on anything. She was like, I had no idea that you
Right.
hadn't posted in over 3 months. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay that you're not actively pushing out a new piece of content into the
Mhm.
algorithm every day because hopefully you have things set up in place where people are finding you in other places that when they come to your Instagram for the first time, it's not like they're like,
Right.
no clue who you are.
This person hasn't been around for a
Mhm.
year. It's like you're still very much present and
Yeah.
you can find what you're doing. And that's another thing. It's like, oh, well, you'll look bad to clients because then it's like you can't be consistent for them if you can't be consistent for yourself. And I'm like, no, this is a whole different thing. I'm actually being
Mhm.
paid and like this is
Yes.
my job to
Yeah.
manage other client, like I'm not being paid to post on my social media, so like
No.
I'm not gonna put in the 5-6 hours of effort that I would to clients content, like I'm
Right.
just not. And if you have a different opinion, that's like totally fine. And if you have time to prioritize your own content and your clients' content, like good on you. Honestly, that's
As
amazing.
long as
Like,
your contracted client work gets done, that's
yes,
most
it's really all that
important.
matters.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just prioritized what's making me money, honestly.
I know.
Like, and our podcast.
Right.
It's not making us money,
Yeah,
but
podcast doesn't make us a single
it's
penny,
something
but
I love and enjoy and
mhm.
like doing.
I
And that
really
comes
think
first before my content too. Like
same. Like, could you
that's
imagine if
just
I was
how
like,
it
"Veronica,
is.
I can't record this week, like, I have to make my own content."
No.
If you said that to me, I
I'm
would be
sorry.
like,
And like,
"Bitch,
but that's just like
shut
our
up.
different priorities, and like people can have their different priorities and what's important to them. But to me, like this
This is a
podcast is very
priority."
important.
Yes.
And when I mean, I'll be back by now, like I said, but when I'm gone for a vacation, for family vacation from Thursday to Tuesday, like we had to record 2 episodes. And
Mhm.
any trip that like we go on or like you're moving, like we plan it out
Mhm.
to be able to stay consistent with this because it's really
Right.
important to us and it's a priority. So like you need to just figure out what your priorities are, where they lie, and like yeah, take it from there. Like just
Like,
see
literally make
what.
a list. Sit down with a piece of paper and a pen
Yes.
and write out everything that you have to do every week and then put them
How
in
long it takes you.
yes, put them in order from what's most important to
Mhm.
least important, and whatever's least important to you can go. And if that
Yeah.
happens to be your own content, that's okay. We're
And
not
for me
judging you.
and you, it is.
I know. I think we really should do like a content challenge for ourselves in
We should,
January.
yeah.
Let us know
It's
if you
just
want in
like
on that.
it's hard because like I think everything we're passionate about, we already talk about on the podcast. So I'm like, my
I
content would literally
know.
just be like stuff
Clips
from
from the
the
podcast.
podcast. Yeah. It
I
would just
know.
be like we'll just collab on each
I know.
post. Every day we
I
just
know.
collab on the podcast page. Cause it's like I don't want to be out there putting out fucking 5
Tips and
tips
tricks and
and
B-roll
tricks and
and blah blah
hacks and
blah.
fucking it's such bullshit to me now that I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want to put that content out, so it's really hard for me to sit down and be like, okay, like
Right.
I really want something to resonate and I really want to share a message that's actually going to be helpful or like
Mhm.
entertaining or to I don't know, like it's just
Help
hard. I don't
someone
want to do
genuinely
those.
not be a quick
Yes,
hack
the
that a
quick
business
tip.
owner will be like, "Oh,
Yes.
wow. I bet if I do this." Like, I have one client that when
Yeah.
I go into their page and I look at their saved posts, I'm like, "Why are you watching these things?" Because it's people being like, "Say your hook in the first 3 seconds," and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "We do
Mhm.
all of that. Like, what are you doing? Get
Yeah.
out of these people's
Those
Instagrams."
people make that content in order to be able to sell you a course and a
Yes.
program, and they want those quick wins and the vanity metrics, and it's just like I don't give a fuck about that. So
No, I
I'm not
don't
going to
care
do it.
anymore.
Like I
Mm-mm.
don't care.
No.
I did in the beginning, like I cared about my views, I cared about like everything when I was first starting, and maybe you do too, and it's okay to care about it. But like I don't know,
I'm
I
to a
don't. Like
point where
I'd
it's
rather
not a priority.
yeah, it's not. And I'd rather help people genuinely and have those DM
Mhm.
conversations versus spending the time to make my quick hack video.
Yes.
Like that is what I think is important is those
Mhm.
connections and like actually having conversations, not just posting these quick little tips. So that's the tea.
Agreed. That's the tea. Well,
The sun is fucking.
I know, same.
Eee.
I'm also starving. I need to go find a snack.
Same. So hungry. A snack
A little snack.
for the snacky snack.
Hurricane
All right.
tortilla.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Have the best Thanksgiving. Have the
But to
best
go to work
stack and Krabby
to
Patties.
my cat daddy. Call me SpongeBob. If you don't know the cat daddy,
Look it up.
listen to it right now.
It's unacceptable if you
That's
don't.
when you know if they're Gen Z. Is just if they don't know the cat daddy.
It's just so funny because I'm like, why do I have this like very specific memory of like everybody in my life knowing that song, and then I meet somebody and I'm like,
Everybody.
how do you not know that
But you
song?
go to work. The dance too.
I used to know the dance. There's no way that I
Same.
remember that now. Maybe I should watch it.
Same.
Get
At
a
my hip hop
refresher.
dance competition.
Is that the routine that you did? That's what won.
Yes. I love how Bella commented on that. She's like, LMAO, would love to see it.
Yeah. Bella's Veronica's friend who actually is a really good fucking hip hop dancer.
Hip hop dancer. Oh my God.
She's insane. Well,
Yeah, she
maybe
is.
one day we'll
All
find a
right.
talent.
Besides bitching.
Yeah.
Probably
I don't
not.
know. We're pretty good at that.
Sorry. Sorry, everybody. We
One day
found
we'll
something we're good at, and I'm gonna fucking
stick with it. I'm gonna run
ride
with
this
it
wave.
until it
I'm gonna
knocks me
ride this
down.
wave.
Until it gets me canceled.
Surf's up.
Okay, happy Entrepreneur
All
Day.
right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
We'll talk to you next week. Love you so much.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.